Start this.
All
Oh, I
right,
see what you
we
did.
are live.
Are we?
Okay.
Um, I believe so.
I
Yes,
mean,
Daddy.
Yes.
Oh,
we're technically live, but it doesn't mean that we're a live.
I mean, I've been dead inside for years, so fuck me up.
Right.
I don't know what being
Yeah.
live is. Never heard of
So,
it.
so yeah, this is something that I've been kind of thinking about doing for like the past like week or so, ever since I stopped working at Family Dollar, and I now have more time to myself. Thought, hey, why not I try doing like at least like once a week a stream, something. Because it's like,
Right.
there's so many
Yeah.
fucking like retards that do stuff like this anyways, that like, I'm at least like half as smart or twice as smart as most of them, so I should be able to do this.
I go college. I'm smart. I'm smart.
That's pretty much all you need anyway.
Yeah. So this is just like an I even titled the stream pilot stream. So it's just some let's
Pilot.
see.
Can I do a stream where I do the co-pilot stream?
I mean,
I guess yeah, just
uh,
this needs to really sell it to the people though. This needs to have like all the explosions and the cool stuff.
this is a
yeah.
fucking Google Hangout. Okay, we're not doing explosions and cool stuff. We're gonna ramble on about Kylie Jenner and doping. So
Yeah, this is ultra low budget, okay? This is like
free, bitch.
Fair enough.
Oh my god.
the main focus of what I'm interested in doing with this is just like current events related stuff, and looking at like some having a few articles that I've looked into, and then focusing on like two or three subjects, and then just talking about it with whoever, hopefully having at least like one person with me,
Yeah.
so that I'm not
Right.
just like rambling on like a psychopath.
Yeah, I mean, I've always found that like doing like I've done streams alone, and it's always awkward unless you have like enough of a viewer base where they will watch and like actively participate in like asking questions and trying to have a discussion alongside you in the chat, or else it's just real awkward and not fun because you're like, what do I do? I gotta keep people entertained, so I usually just get drunk and like put cucumbers up my ass or something.
Oh my god.
I mean, totally. I
Just such a train
100%
wreck.
agree.
Ask me. Yeah.
All right, so the first topic of today is going to be the bullshit with Kylie Jenner supposedly, destroying Snapchat. All
I
right,
mean, honestly, it's the most iconic thing I've seen in like a generation.
I mean, I think it's kind of funny just to be able to say like Kylie Jenner cost Snapchat $1 billion.
It's
I just think that
amazing though for one person to
I
have
just
that
like
much
makes for
power.
great that just makes for great art headlines and stuff. And I feel like
Well, I
whenever
mean, what?
I feel like whenever stuff like that is making headlines, that's how you know like there's really nothing going on. The world is just boring at that moment.
Right. But I mean, it kind of shows the fragility of a country's stock value because if Kylie Jenner can tweet, I think all she tweeted was, um, "Does anyone even open Snapchat anymore? This is so sad," or something like that. And
Yeah,
like just that tweet cost them $1.3 billion in a day. And it's like if your company is that fragile that Kylie fucking Jenner can tweet, it kind of like really like it Snapchat really fucked up their platform anyway with this new update. So like it's kind of more focused on who they think you should look at, like fucking Burger King or like these multi-million dollar companies or these huge celebrities with their Snapchats. And it's like, no, if I want to see that, I will follow them. Like if I want to see these people's Snapchats, I will follow these companies or these people's Snapchats. Like I want to see who I followed. And the new design is clunky, it's hideous, it's dumb. The old design was very basic, but it was just in your face and right there in the palm of your hand. It was easy to figure out. You swipe which way to snap your friends, you swipe a different way to see their stories and the people you follow. Easy as fuck. Now, like viewership and people who use the app has like plummeted. The app is like destroying itself because of this new update. It's terrible. No one fucking likes it.
Yeah, I don't really understand like the changes that they made because it seems like it's mostly like I just don't get like why they did it because it was, yeah, as you said, simple, but it was easy to understand and it made sense. Because now it just
Right.
seems like
I
they're
I
intentionally trying to like manipulate things to essentially force you to look at stuff you don't actually want to look at.
well, I think it has to do with money, honestly. Like not to get into this huge like anti-capitalist rant, oh socialism, but I mean it gets into like they're pushing they're pushing celebrities, but they're also pushing multi-billion dollar companies. So it's kind of like, well, before this fucking this update, you would watch someone's Snapchat story, and if you watched to a different person's, there would be an ad in between people's, which is fine. Make the money. I don't give a shit. But
Right.
with this, it's pushing the ads instead of your stories. It's pushing these ads instead of what you want to see. And you actually have to manually go through, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. Like, hide this and stuff like that. And it's like, well, just no. I don't want to fucking see that. Like, if I wanted to see, again, if I wanted to see people's Snapchats, then I would follow their fucking ads of Snapchat. But no. Like you're forcing it in replacing people that I follow to see. Like if I want to go see fucking Cupcake Snapchat and I want to go see her drag someone on stage, I want to see that and not fucking Burger King talking about oh this fucking cheese on our burger is like real fucking Canadian milk cheese. Like bitch, no, I don't want that. Fuck off. If I want to go see Burger King cheese, I go to Burger King, eat the fucking cheese.
Right.
Here's the thing. At the same time, they with what you said with them pushing the celebrities, it's almost as if they are pushing their own demise because you create these celebrities, you make them as big as they get, and then something like this happens where they destroy a certain part of your company, where you have a huge loss because of something that they may say. It's like you make them big and then you give them so much power and then something as small as them saying 3 words destroys your work just like that. I think that's probably where one of the main issues is how much power they're giving celebrities. The more um, that you're known, the more dangerous you get and the more power you have.
Right.
We give celebrities way too much power, and as do companies. YouTube does this, where the more important you are, the more worth you have to these companies. I mean, something as small as that completely destroys it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure Willow as the, uh, strong, anti-capitalist commie she is, probably just views this as like a big flaw of like capitalism and how things can just easily be like destroyed and stuff.
I mean, I certainly think it is, but I mean, I kind of think it's like I don't understand stock markets and stock value and I don't really know a whole lot about that sort of shit. So to me, it's really alien, and to me, it's like, what do you mean one tweet destroyed $1 billion of their worth at the company? Like that's fucking dumb. But I mean, again, I don't really understand that whole world. That's not really something that I'm knowledgeable in. So I really don't know what to say on that matter because it's not my area of expertise. But I mean,
Right.
from my layman's understanding and perspective, to me, I'm like, what the fuck do you mean $1.3 billion was fucking shredded off the company because of a fucking tweet by Kylie Jenner of all fucking people? Like, I certainly do think it's a flaw within the system, but I mean, it would be different if it was like, I don't know, Saudi Aramco. I don't know, just like a company that makes money off of the backs of people, whereas Snapchat makes money off of ads. So there really isn't much physical labor going into it.
Right.
To me, it's less of a concern if a company like Snapchat, who makes their money primarily off of ads and advertising, compared to a company who makes their money off the backs of laborers, because at that point, that $1.3 billion is profits that the workers generated that is now gone because they go into the fucking shareholders. And it's like, then that becomes a problem of that's fucked. But Snapchat, I mean, I really give a fuck about Snapchat. Snapchat is some bullshit, you know, new age advertising company essentially.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I don't really know too much about stocks either. All I really know is that you can buy them and they can, increase or decrease in value over time, and then you can sell them and then profit.
Right.
well,
But
here's the
how
thing
you
though.
sell them,
Well, here's the
Yeah, I have
thing.
no idea
With
what that
their
actually means. Like, I don't like
right?
sell it to a person. I don't get it. Is it a physical thing? I don't think it is a physical thing. I,
No,
I don't.
it's kind
it's
of
more you put your money into it. So how it works is, so say your company is well, depending on how many people are in it, a certain person will invest a certain amount of money into it. So say for example, right, if we were to start a company, I put something like £100 into it. Willow might put about $50 into it. You would probably put $20 into it. So I'd have a big share. Willow would have a smaller piece of share, and then you would have a smaller than hers. And how it worked is all of that would then start the company, and then it would grow from there. And then depending on the more shares you have, like the more people you have, the more money is in it. And then depending on how much you sell and how much profit each person is able to make, each share raises in value. Um,
Mhm.
because how much you put into it and how much you got back, it's how much yours is worth to the company, and then how much that is helped grow it, and that's what also raises your share. Now, depending on what is affected from the companies, for example, with this in this instance where um, the amount of power that's been given to someone like Kylie Jenner, and then she says something as simple as a few words, and then billions are lost. You would think, okay, wait, what happened here? But if you actually look at it,
Right.
it's more to do with the power that the people have. The Kylie Jenner has. She says a few things, and then the audience, the people who use the app, go, okay, wait, so this is what this person thinks. This person is important, and if this is how they feel, then maybe I feel the same way. And then less people go to the app. Um, and this is how something like a share is affected, because the less people use, the less money that comes in, the less money that goes into profits for the shares, and the shares start getting worried. Some actually pull out. Um, Something similar happened with EA, where they lost $3 billion because of their move on a certain thing they want to push in their video games. So it's like we the people have a lot of power, but our power is moved depending on which celebrity we want to believe in. Celebrities are like gods here. It's kind of ridiculous how much power they have with a few words.
Yeah, that is something that's kind of interesting. So some bits of info that I got from the articles that I read, that I thought was kind of interesting is that uh, like people hated it so much that there's actually like a change.org petition to try and change it. I got like 1.2 million signatures, and
I
Snapchat
remember that.
was like, yeah, we got it, we hear you, but we're not gonna do anything. They basically said like
Right.
users were gonna have to like just deal with it.
That was their response.
It's kind of what I've read. Um,
my God.
A response from Snapchat indicated that the company had heard the complaints and that it would ultimately roll out an update to the update, even while making it clear that users would simply need to adapt to the biggest changes. So it's like,
So really, they're
fuck
not gonna.
you. Yeah, they're not going to do
Yeah,
anything.
they're not gonna fucking do anything. Like, fuck. Like,
Well,
see, that to me is so frustrating because, like, I don't understand IT and tech and all sort of shit. But I mean, to me, that's so frustrating because people are very clearly saying, we don't fucking like this. And the company is just like, we understand that. We don't give a fuck. Like you're
but
destroying your own company. Like if the people who are using your product or service don't fucking like it and they're saying here's why and you're saying fuck off, like that's that's just not good business. That's just bad fucking business in general. That's just retarded. Like fuck,
here's
man.
the thing: if there were a few celebrities who were to come forward and say, "Okay, this new update with Snapchat, we don't like it. I don't really recommend that you use it." If something like that was to happen, trust me, they would do a 180, and that would change pretty much straight away.
Right.
Again, goes down to the power that they have
Yeah, that's
and
another.
how their audience follow.
That's another thing that I was kind of thinking about that I think is interesting is that like what if like more people came forward and it basically said, hey, don't use Snapchat, fuck them if they're gonna be like this, you know. But I think at a point Snapchat would would fold and would revert back to the way people actually want it to be.
Yeah, they
Uh,
would have to. I mean, Snapchat is used by hundreds of millions of people every year, tens of millions of people every day. And a couple million here and there dropping off, that's one thing. Yeah, that's a big drop, but it won't fucking hurt them really in the long term. But I mean, if people like Kylie Jenner or like, to a lesser extent YouTubers like Shane Dawson or Jenna Marbles or PewDiePie start saying like, guys, we're not gonna Snapchat until like they fix this problem. Like we're not gonna use this social media until they fix this problem that we feel. At that point, that right there is them telling their tens of millions of followers collectively, don't use this fucking app. And then people like Kylie Jenner who have like 50 million followers on Twitter, like, don't use this app. Like that, yeah, it's gonna fucking garner some pain for the company, and that would be a good thing. But I mean, a change.org petition with 1.2 million, really that's a drop in the bucket on their usership. So it's kind of like, oh, whatever, who cares?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. So
Personally, I think if they want to really fix a situation like this where they don't want something like this to happen again, is they need to give at least before anything take away that power from these celebrities. You know, stop promoting these bigger people and just start promoting everyone. Make everyone feel like they're just as important as whoever else there is. So what happens is in instances like that where if someone like her was to say something, people would just say, yeah, your opinion. They would start thinking that their opinion matters too, rather than following someone else's opinion.
Right.
It won't happen, but that would be a beginning
Well, no,
to
I
it.
mean it'll never happen because these people like we don't generate them any income,
Yeah,
any substantial income. Kylie Jenner and celebrities bring them the most income, so they're gonna cherish and they're gonna coddle them first before they cherish and coddle the people, the individual, or even like the collective people as a whole. They're gonna sooner decide what they do based on the opinions of these fucking big celebrities and these big followings than what an individual person would do because who gives a fuck? Like I only generate them a couple cents, maybe a couple dollars a year, but these people generate the millions.
yeah.
yeah.
By the way, give me 2 seconds. I just want to quickly fix something.
Oh, that's fine. Don't worry about it. But if you're gonna make a lot of noise, just mute.
That's the first thing I'm doing, just in case.
Okay.
So
So
what's Huh?
What? Oh, the article that I'm looking at. It also is saying like Snapchat went public in March of last year, basically meaning that they actually went on the stock market. But they warned investors, hey, this might not turn a profit. So I thought was kind of interesting. And I guess Snapchat really wasn't doing very well necessarily financially for months prior to this, anyways. So
Yeah, I heard that Snapchat was having monetary issues. Um, are they're not owned by anybody. Are they an individual platform or are they
uh,
owned by someone greater?
that's a good question. I think they're kind of, from what I'm reading, it seems like they're their own thing. It's saying that Facebook was sort of expected to like put Snapchat out of business because Facebook owns Instagram. And
Yeah,
then
that's what I was thinking.
Snapchat was like suffering, let's see, 3 quarters in a row where profits were lower than expected. So,
Oh,
and,
so they were still turning profits. They were just lower than what they thought.
yeah,
They're not struggling. They just have lower profits. That's fucking
well,
dumb.
you don't know capitalism. You gotta make as much fucking money as possible. If you're not
Well, I
making as
mean,
much money as possible, you're screwed.
if you're turning more money than what you're spending, then really you're not doing that fucking bad. If you're still turning a profit, depending if it's like $1 or more, like it's obviously if there's like a certain margin of profit you need, but come on, like we didn't get as much money as we thought. We're financially hurt. Like, no, you're not. You're fine. You're just a little bitch.
Yeah,
Fuck.
yeah. Like in a lot of ways, it seems like this is one of those things that's also kind of like sensationalized. So where it makes for a good headline to say like, oh, Kylie Jenner lost Snapchat $1 billion.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, A, Kylie Jenner just had a child, so she's like really big in the news right now. B, Snapchat's a very large platform. C, there's the whole like doomsday aspect that fucking American news outlets like to pull on things like, oh, Snapchat's over party, hashtag fucking And then it's the whole like also the American cultural issue when it comes to like capitalism and profits and money and the obsession with money and profits and how Snapchat shed $1 billion because Kylie Jenner. Oh, look at us, doomsday. It's over.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
Well, Americans love fucking doomsday bullshit.
By the way, do I sound fine? If so, I'll probably keep it like this for just a short while.
Yeah, from what I'm reading, it seems like Snapchat's its own company.
Yeah,
So
you sound fine. You sound fine, Navar.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I just wanted to say this. Another thing that could be with these articles is, again, going back to going off of just the name. They take the name, then they just slap it on and just say, "Oh, this person, this huge thing happened. It's their fault," or something like that. It could also be that maybe this loss came from a few other things. Maybe there's more to it than just Kylie Jenner did this, and then someone who wrote that article would have went, okay, it would be a lot more interesting if we twisted it and turned it into this, where Kylie Jenner lost them, $1 billion, or it's like
Right.
that would make it
I
a lot
mean,
more interesting rather than, oh, they just lost that to
right.
whatever.
It's a lot more interesting to place blame on Kylie Jenner and kind of have her as this new like it's not like not really blame. It's more or less like, oh, Kylie Jenner did this with her massive platform. Praise her. We all hate Snapchat right now, right?
Yeah.
But no one's
yeah,
gonna want to read like, oh, Snapchat lost $1.3 billion because of like poor business idea or poor business and they kind of like fucked up with their viewer base and here's the timeline of events. No, it's Kylie Jenner made one fucking tweet and she fucked the company. Oh, hail Queen Kylie Jenner.
yeah.
I mean,
So
maybe she was right that they were doing really badly, and that's why it had already gone down. And then an excuse would have been they would have said, "Oh, it's her fault that this happened."
Right.
I'm just like scrolling around on Wikipedia right now, looking at Snap Incorporated, which is basically Snapchat, And it says that like in 2017 their revenue is like 800 million. Then their operating income is like 3 billion. Like or negative 3 billion. I'd like I don't understand numbers, but I don't think that's good.
No, that's absolutely terrible.
That just seems
Well, there
ridiculously
was the
inefficient.
800 was the 800 billion total income, or was that like was that surplus, or what was that?
I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. It just says revenue, so I don't know
Okay.
what that
Oh,
exactly.
so their revenue was 800 billion, but their operational costs were 3
No,
billion. That's not
no, the revenue is 800 million with an M.
right. Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, I thought you said billion. Never mind.
No.
Another thing also could be with their money, because the shares pretty much they run the company. No matter what the company's points of view may be on anything, their perspective, how they see where they want the company to go. If all that it takes is for shareholders to start pulling out. Now with these, it could easily be that the shareholders didn't like where it was going themselves.
Yeah.
And the money that's already in there. Some companies like YouTube, they don't actually make any profit at all. It's just the money that they make straight goes back into the company. That's if they even make enough back. There are companies like that, and their shareholders are more, they're on the side of Google. It's owned through Google. Now, it doesn't make any money at all. The money that it does make, it just, like I said, goes right into YouTube, and back into the actual, thing itself, and then that's it. It goes back in. They make it and then goes back in. Whereas a company like Snapchat, which has to survive on something, all the ads that they're putting on to make the money back, they will have issues. Something like this can affect them, not just in the short run, but even in the long run. It's probably why it's not doing so well at all at this point.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about them. I don't really use.
I mean,
Snapchat.
I don't use that shit anymore anyway, so fuck it.
Right.
Screw them.
Okay, so now moving on to Russians doing dope.
I love Russians.
You probably love Russians more than me.
I mean, I love their accent more than yours.
I see. I see. You have a fetish for Russian accents.
I mean, who doesn't?
Look, I might be like 0.01% Russian, right? So don't you dare talk about my
Yeah,
my
you could be more.
ancestors.
Your hypothetical ancestors. Okay, so for those of you who have been living under a rock the past like month, the Russians have been like banned from the Winter Olympics for doping, which is obviously bullshit. Because if you ever do like research on these sorts of things, you pretty much find that like every country does doping and find various ways of either finding some workaround, doing like tests or whatever, even if it means like finding ways to just get their athletes to just not even get tested or whatever. Either way, they find some way of getting around it. Just it's almost like guaranteed. Even if it's
Right.
something that's like governmentally sanctioned necessarily, you know.
Well, they're trying to claim that the Russian doping scheme was a government-sanctioned operation, and they're trying to use individual cases of people who got caught doping, claiming like, "Oh yeah, I was told by the Russian government to dope." But there's no evidence of that. There's nothing to even suggest that the Russian government is doping uh, on like a national scale.
Right.
So they're like, oh well, these athletes. They said that okay, well, athletes say a lot of things. Just because their athlete was caught doping, maybe this athlete's trying to place blame on the government and not themselves for being caught and fucking up their own life. Like
Right.
That's not unheard of. That's not an unheard of situation to be in. Sorry, Queen. The Russians do a lot of shady shit, but just because of that doesn't mean they do everything shady. Like, fuck.
Right. And people will just lie about anything as well. Because one of the athletes, there's one who like actually like did some like video and wore a shirt saying I don't do doping, and then she actually got tested positive. Um, her name I think was like, I don't know how to I've been trying to learn Russian, but I don't know how to pronounce this shit. Nadezhda Sergieva. There.
Yeah, I don't know.
If it was in like Cyrillic, I could probably pronounce it a bit better. But yeah. And apparently she was like one of 168 athletes who have failed doping this far. Or
Right.
was it? It was either this one, Winter Olympics, or the last one.
I mean, yeah, doping is pretty widespread in Russian athletes.
Right.
So I mean,
I feel like another issue could be that, especially now at this point in time, there's been lots of things that Russia has been blamed for at this. Like they kind of they've become the target for many people and many areas. They just say, "Oh, Russia did it. Russia did it. Russia did it." So in something like this, where it's something that lots of people enjoy, it's easy to because it makes a lot of money, not just for the company that runs some of these, or the place that they're from, but the athletes themselves. There's lots of money in these sports. So when something like this happens, it's easy to destroy someone by removing them completely from it. So when they say, "Oh, we'll remove Russia because we've heard a lot about doping," okay, but did you have any evidence to go off of? Did you have anything that proves that Russia was behind this athlete's choices?
well, that and it's punishing people who didn't do anything wrong. Like if you want to ban people who are doping, then sure, that's not a problem. Like that's you're in your full fucking right to do that. But it's don't ban people who worked their entire life to get to this point, and then to say, well, because of this person fucking up, you can't achieve your life dream. It's like, well, it's not fair to ban an entire country based on the actions of a few people. Like it's ridiculous. Like, okay, so ban teams. Don't ban the entirety of the country. It seems politically motivated to me.
Oh, it definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they're basically just like trying to whip Russia and make an example of them.
Oh
like,
yeah.
How dare you? How dare you be a Russian and not be a democracy and be accused of meddling in the U.S. elections?
Yeah, how dare you be accused of meddling in the same country that meddles in yours and other people's elections every fucking year?
Better than they could have just given them an option to pick a different athlete. Like they could have said, "Okay, look, we don't like this athlete. They've been doping. Do you have another person to put forward, or you'll probably just be removed from this specific sport at this point in time until the next, maybe next year or whenever they redo it again. They would just have, okay, then you bring in another athlete. This particular athlete will be removed because we don't like that they're doping. That would be fair.
Right.
But to completely cut off everyone from that country, yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, I kind of think at this point, doping ought to be allowed because it's just like that's how records get broken every year, and that's what people want to see. That's what people like, and you're kind of dealing. I mean, when you get to the Olympic level, you're basically like the best of the best at what you do at that point.
Yeah, so, I mean,
And it's like
Yeah.
people want to see, freaks of nature doing freaky things, essentially.
But
Yeah,
here's
I mean, I don't think, I mean, the Olympics has a lot of various meaning to a lot of various people. Um, for me, being such a political person, the Olympics is kind of a time for, it should be a time of, you know, countries coming together and having a fair shot at competing. So I don't think doping should be a thing like allowed based on that standard alone. You know, if it's supposed to be fair, it's supposed to be a competition, it's supposed to be fun, but also hard work for everybody. And this is a thing that people have trained their entire lives to do. So I mean, if you have one person who's totally competent and could win gold, then you have a person who's on drugs. It's like, well, that's not really fair,
Right? Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's definitely like complicated.
right?
Um,
but a thing with that is though is I'm on the side of I think it should be a thing. Like they shouldn't remove people from it. They should have two positions where it's like, okay, you want to dope, that could be a certain path that you can take, or you can go the natural route, and then have two different competitions for both, rather than completely cut people off if they want to go down that route. You want to screw with your body, you want to do these things, that's fine, but here's this path that you can take. There are others just like you who do the same thing. You have to accept that. You're not going to be competing against naturals. You're going to be competing against other people who are also doping.
Right.
well, I think a problem with trying to like keep with just trying to like keep doping out is that there are ways to do it. It just basically requires that the athletes are like give up some of their own rights and privacies to allow like a third party agency to like just test them randomly all the fucking time, which is what they do in the MMA actually. Athletes can get popped randomly whenever the fuck, you know, and they get caught, not that often, but when they do get caught, they face some pretty severe punishments and stuff. So I think like, the MMA, it's actually a sport where, that it's a lot cleaner than other sports because there's more of an effort to do so. Um,
Yeah, because I
but I
mean,
think,
doping in the Olympic Committee will tell you when they're doping or when they're going to test you. Sorry, so it kind of just like oh, okay, well, I'll just get around it by doing this at this time.
yeah, a lot of these drugs, like, you can, it's not complicated to figure out, like, okay, how long does this stay in my system for, basically.
Right.
And then you can basically time when you take it so that you don't get caught. So, um, I think a problem with trying to keep doping out is that, at least definitely in the Olympics, there's just so much incentive there that if you like win, I mean, you can get sponsorships from all sorts of big companies like Nike and Adidas and just all of the big name brands you've all heard of. You can get big sponsorships from them, make millions. You know,
Right.
and
Yeah, I mean,
it's just
what?
when there's that kind of like financial incentive, it's just impossible to try and like stop people from doing it.
Right. And I mean, I do like the idea of randomly testing people to keep rates down because, it's if that's a proven effective technique, then I could kind of understand an argument against it as like, should companies be allowed to do that? Should they be allowed to randomly test people at their will if they think that doping is a thing?
Hmm.
I I guess. I mean, in the United States, companies can do random drug testing for you if you're an employee. So I mean, it's not unheard of in the United States. In Canada, we don't really do that unless it's like a federal job, I think. Like I think they'll drug test you if you're going to like policing or military or something, but drug testing really isn't a thing here. I don't really think companies are legally allowed. And I don't really think there's an incentive to do it here. Um, so it kind of brings up a question of like, well, should Canadian athletes be randomly tested? Is that a thing that should be allowed? I don't really see any problem with it. I guess. In theory, I really don't see much of an issue if it keeps doping rates down and keeps things more clean and more fair for everybody else, then sure.
Right. I mean, that would it would work if like you could if more countries, especially like big countries, big Olympic powers could get behind actually trying to keep the Olympics clean and actually follow through with these practices and make examples
Right.
of athletes who are doping. But
Wait,
it's kind of
But
hard to do that.
I mean, this would be that would be a very effective thing. Now, I think it would be fair if they at least warn them that they will randomly be um, tested. They won't give them the right time, but they will be tested randomly,
Mhm.
which would mean that yes, they are informed that they will randomly be tested, and um, it would, of course, be a lot more effective at catching people. At
right.
that point, yes, they know the risks. So if they choose to take those risks and play with it, then, if they get burned, then they're at fault. Rather than saying, oh, well, I didn't know I was going to be tested. It's not fair. Well, A, you chose to break the rules. B, you were already warned that there will be a random test. Um, at that point, I think it'll be a lot more fair. But that's just my opinion, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. If you two are interested in knowing more about this stuff, I think Joe Rogan has actually had some people on his podcast before talking about doping and stuff in sports, and I think he's actually talked with some guy who was really big in some organization and then actually getting the UFC clean and stuff. I'll have to, if I can find, I think I'll put a link to those episodes of the JRE in the description of this video, and if you guys are interested, I can send them to you. You might find
Yeah.
it to be interesting to listen to.
Yeah, it'd
Yeah,
be
So
interesting.
I mean, personally, I might even look a little bit more into the whole Russia thing because honestly, it's just stupid to cut off a country completely like that, just because of one person.
yeah,
I
it's
at least to me, it's probably one of the most stupidest things I've ever seen. Um,
Right.
but yeah,
yeah. Seems like Russia's always been kind of treated a little unfairly, though. At least in the
I
last
mean,
100 years.
the last century, Russia's been kind of fucked up for a while.
Yeah,
that's the
Poor
thing.
Russia.
It's
it's
just
just.
been anything that's wrong. Yeah, it's Russia's fault. Oh, you haven't been doing too well. I wonder why. Is it possibly because you're treating your people like shit? No, no, no. It's Russia.
I mean, I
Right. I
think I
mean,
think they're doing a lot better, relatively speaking.
I mean,
But
their best excuse for losing with the election, the best excuse for losing against an idiot was, oh well, Russia did it. No, you were terrible at going against an idiot, and you lost.
right.
yeah, I
Well, I
But
think.
mean,
Go
I
Willow.
mean, Russia's been demonized even before the Bolshevik Revolution. Russia's been kind of demonized by the West to some degree for various reasoning. Um, but it was never really as bad as after the Soviet Union was formed in 1922.
Mhm.
Uh, and obviously like the whole Cold War thing, and that was a whole fucking grand old time in history. Um,
Yay, McCarthyism.
but I mean, after the Soviet Union fell, Russia was still not treated as the friend or the potential friend of the West. It was still treated as like a bullied and battered down asshole who like, oh, okay, so the bully was now beaten down. Let's kick him while he's down. Is essentially how they treated Russia after the collapse of the Soviet Union. And they lied and they treated them like the boogeyman still. And then when Putin came in office, Russia was like, we're fucking sick of it. We're gonna have a resurgence, and Russia's having a military and economic resurgence. And now it's like, oh, the Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. It's like, fuck off. Like, ugh. And like, yeah, they've done some questionable shit, and the government isn't good, by any means. It's better than the Soviet Union, but in terms of like spying on their own citizens and shit. But like,
Everything's relative, you know. It's relatively better.
But
yeah, I mean,
here's the thing.
like,
No, sorry. Go ahead, Walla.
Russia is not. In a lot of aspects, Russia is a lot worse off than it was under the Soviet Union. There's a lot of areas that the Soviet Union had better in comparison to the Russian Federation today. And the biggest issue with the Soviet Union, I would say, was how the government functioned. Like I don't have an issue with the whole propaganda of like the bread lines and shit. Yeah, for a time there was issue with food in the fucking 50s and the fucking 40s, but not so much in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, during a world war.
Yeah, for real. But I mean, the biggest issue I would have is the way the government functioned, and with the NKVD and with then the KGB, um, and like just the spying on citizens and the totalitarian nature and the top-down nature of the government. That was really my biggest problem. The rest of it could be reformed and could be increased with time and money. But I mean, a lot of the discretionary budget of the USSR was spent on the military. So that aspect, if the Cold War wasn't a thing, and there wasn't the nuclear arms race and the military buildup between the fucking USA and Soviet Union, if the discretionary budget wasn't spent majority on fucking military, the Soviet Union could very well have been a lot better than the United States in terms of economic and prosperity and quality of life. This is getting into a whole thing, not even about doping. Fuck.
Yeah,
No,
I know
I
this.
mean,
Yeah.
I kind of went into a tirade about my hopes and dreams were crushed because the USSR crumbled. Now I'm upset with myself. Fuck.
no.
Well,
Here's the thing, though.
I told Navarre that, once we get through the two topics that I wanted to go over, we could just kind of go off whatever tangent we feel like. So I'm good with this. This is good. Good discussion.
Right.
Here's the thing, though. There's two things that really kind of, when I look at it, it makes no sense. Because, so you're saying that the amount of power that America has with how big it is taken down by a few hackers from Russia who
Right.
supposedly changed the whole election. This is one of the most important things for your whole country, and it's taken down by a few hackers from Russia.
Well, the issue is that
You want to admit that?
the American infrastructure for many of its systems is outdated. The election software is outdated. The cyber security is extremely outdated in terms of, or in comparison to countries like China and like Russia. Um, Hacking in the United States is very hard. It's very hard to hack government agencies,
Yeah.
but it's hard by individual people. China's been hacking the United States and stealing military secrets and economic secrets and spying on people for years now. It's very common for China to hear about accusations of Chinese government spying and hacking.
Acquisitions.
Oh my God. But I mean, for the Russians to do it, it's not that fucking hard. And it kind of boils down to this is a taste of their medicine, which I'm really glad they have, if this is a thing with the Russian hacking. B, maybe the United States should realize that, hey, maybe we should stop spending unfucking heard of amounts of money on our military and actually, oh, my fucking mother's calling me. I'll call her in a minute. If we stop spending unheard of amounts of our discretionary budget on our fucking military, maybe we could, update our country and have security and, safety of the thing that we preach about the most, being democracy and fucking fair and free elections, which aren't fair and free because money and corporations, but, democracy.
Yeah, there's a whole host of problems with democracy here in the U.S.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna go for like maybe 5 to 10 minutes. So you guys like keep talking, and then I'll jump back in if you
okay,
guys are still live.
okay, that's fine.
That's fine.
Bye.
So I
Bye.
mean, let's put it this way. Um, like how I see it all, it's a huge mess, but it's mostly to do with the people that we are putting into power. Hell, even here in the UK, we've got issues where we put a bunch of idiots into power and let them make all the decisions for us, and then you have an issue of you had someone from the UKIP who came in, completely ruined everything, and then said, "Yeah, well, you know what? I'm out now. I mean, I kind of ruined everything, but it's okay. I'm out. Bye. You deal with it yourself." Okay, why did we allow this person to come in and make all these decisions for us and then leave? You know, without being punished for anything.
Right.
Again, it goes down to the people that we choose. I think we need to look into education. We need to look at teaching people what it is that they're choosing, and when they choose someone, what it is that they are trying to have done. Because the people that they're choosing, how do you know that this person is going to really do what they say? No one in a very, very long time has done what they have said they will um, from their election time. As soon as they're chosen, they go and do nothing sometimes at all, or they do even worse, or the complete opposite of what they said they'd do. I mean, where's the wall, Trump? Where's the fucking wall? You know,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. It's the fault, I'd say, half of the people and education, and
I
that's one of those things that feed into it.
I feel you, man. All
Oh,
right. Let's see. Uh, uh,
all this
uh.
power. We need to just take away power from everyone.
I don't know if that's possible.
Look, just put me in charge. I'll
Look,
fix everything.
oh my God, Devon. Yeah, you're just
I'll
appointed
fix
like
it all.
dictator for life or something.
Yeah, but look. I'm going to do it for the people. All right. I'm not
For the
doing it for
people.
everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Navarre the populist here, right over here. Man of the
I'm,
people.
I'm gonna save. I'm gonna save everyone. Okay. I'm here for
Everyone.
you and everyone else. Yeah.
You're gonna take care of everybody, you're gonna get everything done, everyone's gonna be happy. It's gonna be
Exactly. There'll be
great.
no problems. Everyone will be rich.
Yeah, it's gonna be perfect. It's gonna be great.
Exactly. Not
Yeah.
a single issue at all.
Okay. I think I've kind of lost my train of thought.
Trust me, it fucking happens. I say just go with it.
Yeah, okay, well, I think that was a pretty good like starter stream for today. I think we did pretty good. Us
Yeah,
two
I
us two
mean,
fatties. Yeah.
exactly. No, I mean it's good for a start. I mean, we will start moving towards different topics, and it'll be a mess, but we'll see where it goes from here. Um,
Exactly. Yeah, I
but yeah,
think like next weekend I'll either stream on like Saturdays or Sundays just because those are days that will work perfect for me. But during beforehand, I like to try to like do a little bit more research, have more stuff ready, and be a bit more at least ready on my end. I don't really expect anyone else to really do anything for this because this is kind of my thing. And I just want someone on here with me just to have someone to like bounce off of so that I'm not just like talking by myself. That I think a
yeah.
discussion is more useful and better to listen to than just like one guy just going like, having 5 sentences that and then 5 sentences that
No, I see. It's completely fair. I mean, at the same time, personally, I love to join whenever if I can.
Okay, yeah, yeah, you're definitely, yeah, you're always welcome. So yeah,
Oh, of course I'm welcome. From one fat to another.
yeah, fatties gotta stick together, man.
Exactly.
All right, so for anyone watching, I think there is one person watching. Whenever we are done streaming here, and I guess this will be uh, posted like publicly as a video afterwards, make sure to give it a like and leave some comment afterwards because the stuff you say in the chat just disappears, so it gets lost in the void of the internet. So you don't have to say anything, just say whether or not you like this and if you'd like to see more stuff like this. So it's really all
Or
I
topic
ask of you.
suggestions as well.
Yeah, if you have anything that you think would be interesting to look at, we could, or I could, or I, yeah, would could look at it and consider it, and probably pick it because why not? Uh,
Might be all
do
over
what
the
the
place as
people
well.
want, sort of. So
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll get there.
Okay. I see you, Friday Wiggly. I see you. I see you. Okay. All right. So that's been that's a wrap. Adios.